For this week's video, we've teamed up with our friends Zoe and Malish from Bonjour Motorhome to discuss all things van life. In this part of the video, we'll be asking Zoe and Malish about their motorhome experiences and comparing it to that of a caravan and campervan conversion. We hope this video was useful in answering some of those all-important questions you may have about van life, and remember to head over to their channel when you're done and watch their half of the video, where Stephen and I will be the ones in the hot seat. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out both ourselves and Bonjour Motorhome and click subscribe.
Bonjour Motorhome, a small but hopefully growing YouTube channel about motorhoming and van life.
Predominantly motorhomes, but trying to encompass campervans and caravans and van conversions.
The first question I have here is, what was the decision behind a motorhome, and did you consider any other forms of recreational vehicle?
We were like a blank page when we started. We were open to all ideas, weren't we?
Mm-hmm.
We thought about caravans probably for the shortest amount of time though. We did consider it. We didn't have a big enough car at that time to pull a caravan.
Then we thought about doing a van conversion. And we spent a lot of time researching the vans available. We researched layouts, options for what to build it out of inside, how much wood we'd need, even going down to working out what types of wood. We met a friend then who had built her own campervan, and it took her a year to do it, and that was from scratch. She was fitting that in with a full-time job. So we looked around quite a few campervans, and we just thought there wasn't the space utilisation just wasn't there. So then we went down the motorhome route.
Because it's interior, isn't it? And on the exterior, many campervans are as long as a motorhome. I was worried about driving around narrow lanes in a big wide motorhome. And to be honest, our first trip out in our motorhome, we nearly died. We got stuck in a lane in Cornwall with like rock either side of the lane, and we couldn't turn around. And we met this woman. She went, "You can't keep going down there. You'll never get through." And we were just like, "Well, what do we do? We can't reverse all the way back home."
Miles and miles down this lane.
Because we just kept following the sat-nav, even though we had a camper van max TomTom thing, which is supposed to make you avoid that situation, but it didn't.
Why the left-hand drive?
Because we want to travel in Europe a lot, and my reasoning was, if the steering wheel is going to be on the wrong side there or here, I'd rather it be on the wrong side here.
And also, with me being totally blind, I can't look out a window and say, "You're clear, there's nothing coming." And so if you've driven in France, you get the chance to drive in France. Roundabouts in France are chaos in comparison to the UK. They work really well, but
they have a different approach to roundabouts. It works really well once you get used to it, because they get a lot more people round in the same amount of time, whereas we'd be all going, "You go first."
Yeah. So that's the best thing, is so that Malish can basically see out the window, which be on the correct side. And one of the bonuses about the motorhome, we've got these big side windows. You've been at junctions, haven't you, where you've actually been able to look out the side window rather than the passenger window. We've got what they call a coach built, and that's where a Auto Trail got the chassis and the cab from Fiat. So it's a Ducato. It's on a Ducato medium wheelbase chassis. And then you get things called an A-Class, and that's where they buy just the chassis and running gear from Fiat, for example, or it might be Mercedes, and then they build everything on top of it. With the A-Class, you don't get a front passenger door. Only the driver has a door. And the cabs are a lot bigger. There's loads of space in an A-Class. And then, of course, all the different layouts as well. Our habitation door is at the rear. Some of them is in the middle, some are at the front. And the kitchen and the washroom can be in varying places. And static tables, fold-down tables.
You hardly use a table, really.
It just fits into the wardrobe, but then it means we can take the same table and use it outside. So we've not got to cart two tables around.
What I had written down here is, we had a discussion in the past about toilets. Stephen thought that motorhomes had a certain type of toilet, but yours is different. And can you explain the differences?
This is horrendous probably to talk about. But
everybody does it, so we might as well talk.
That's it. Yeah, so that's why we should put it in the video. Are you able to use it? Like stop and use it and then just carry on with the journey?
Yeah, it's got a really good seal on it. It's got on the base of the actual seating unit,
The throne.
it's got a twisty knob, and it opens this slidey flap that goes over the hatch sort of thing, the chute. And that it's got a rubber seal around it, so when it slides across, it seals really well.
So,
It's good.
on the lines of that, then, so you've never turned a corner too harsh and had an unfortunate spill then?
People do say you've got to shut that flap. Don't
Yeah.
ever travel with it open because that would be disastrous.
Yeah, don't want to go near speed bumps too fast. You know.
We have read on a number of forums that this is genuine, people not use their toilets.
Because you wouldn't empty it. What if I was like you and neither of us would empty
I
it?
won't empty it because I'd miss it. It'd be all over my shoes.
But they don't wear flip-flops as well.
Yeah, don't wear flip-flops.
Because you do get splashback when you've poured it into the Elsen point sometime.
Some people with motorhomes, if they've got a large enough garage at the back, they'll have a secondary cassette, so they'll have two. When one's full, they'll just swap them over until they get to another place where you can empty. That's
To leave it there too long.
No, that would fester. That would be rather disgusting. So there we go, toilets.
Don't be afraid of poo.
Yes, it's a human bodily syndrome.
Unless you're wearing flip-flops, then you should be a wee bit afraid.
So what have you been like for insurance quotes?
The first quote we got, they wanted over £1,500 comprehensive, which was just ridiculous. We then looked at a few others, and they came in at about £1,200. And then we went with a broker called Adrian Flux. And they do all types of insurances, motorhomes, campervans, cars, computers, everything, you name it. We're currently paying about $550 comprehensive.
Oh, wow.
And that also includes full breakdown cover throughout the UK and Europe. But it doesn't include contents. So definitely got to shop around. There's some really good deals out there, and there's some really bad
And
ones
read
as well.
the small print because they do get you on it.
Yeah. When we uprated from 3.5 tons to 3.65, just literally phoned them up, spoke to a lovely young lady, and job done. 5 minutes, no charges or anything like that. Really good. Same as when we put the legs on the van as well.
Do you find it difficult having to essentially bring a tiny home with you everywhere? Sorry.
We haven't had a problem, have we? There's usually a little shop on campsites for emergency stuff, but we always just fill up the van with food before we set off. And in Europe, it's apparently a piece of cake because all the airs they have are right by the towns, so you can usually walk, I think. We haven't been yet, but we'll find out soon.
So yeah, we went to one place called Stovercore down in
It's
Dorset.
not called Stovercore.
Is it not?
That's where Klingons go when they
I
die.
thought it was Stovercore. But we went to the local co-op, and it was only a little place, wasn't it? And we got in and out okay. The Forest of Dean. There was a big car park there. The one thing I think you have to be careful of is that they put height barriers in. Yeah, just be aware that you are that bit taller. Melvin's quite tall. He's 2.9 metres high. Whereas a lot of campervans, motorhomes tend to be about no more than 2.5. But again, not had any issues.
Only 8% of the UK is accessible to the public. People don't realise that, I think. It's all owned, it's all privately owned, so there's not a lot of places you can really go off-grid in the wild sort of thing, in nature, like you can in Europe.
Would you be equipped for wild camping? I mean, what would be the wattage of the solar panel you have?
The solar panel's 350.
Wow, that's massive.
It is huge, isn't it?
It is big.
It's basically the whole width of the roof, nearly 2 metres across and 1 metre back. It's enormous.
Yeah, no, that's huge. So you'd have a leisure battery included in that, and then your vehicle battery. Is that the only thing you have?
We've got two leisure batteries, and they're that long. About that tall, they're massive. It would take two people to lift them out.
Oh, wow.
They're absolutely enormous.
I think that's an advantage of buying an old motorhome because when Melvin was new, he was top of the range. So we've inherited all the goodies that come with that, really, at an affordable price for us.
And then we've got a separate starter battery for the engine. And if your leisure batteries run out, you can switch over to your starter battery as well.
Do you think there are challenges in navigating a motorhome?
It's a good question, this one, because we were talking about this earlier when we watched a video for another channel. We've just done a campervan conversion, and they showed a clip, didn't they, where you said that the corner of one of the cupboards they had was literally, I assume it was right angles.
Yeah, very pointy.
Very pointy. And yeah, navigating anything when you're severely sight impaired, which in my case I am basically totally blind, I have no useful sight. It's difficult. So walking into things, I walk into everything. I've broken bones by walking into things. I've knocked myself out walking into things. In this motorhome, everything is rounded, and Leash also points out that he has to remember not to move things, because I'll put something down, and if he moves it, I can't find it. Then that translates into going onto a campsite. I would so love to be able to get out of the van and go and top up with water, or go to facilities and do whatever I need to do. Just get somewhere. The best thing to describe it is, imagine pulling up at a campsite and shut your eyes, and now get out of your van and go, I need to go for a wee. Where do you go? Some campsites we've been to have been really good for accessibility, and others have been shocking. But that's just life. You just have to get on. There's a lot of disabled people enjoy going campervan and motorhoming. There's loads of Facebook groups. Just because you might be in a wheelchair, or there's even people out there who are quadriplegic, bless them, and they end up having hoists fitted into their motorhomes to lift them in and out. It doesn't matter what your disability or anything, you can still get out there and do it and enjoy this life. It's a great life. We did stop at one campsite which we've reviewed, and it was very anti-disabled. The comments, people there were absolutely disgusting.
But I never see reviews as being a bad thing. So if you turn around and say your site's because it's, sorry for the language, your site's no good, letting everybody else know that gives, I suppose, the site owner the opportunity to go, well, here, hang on a second, there is a need for this, and I need to up my game and allow this, because one, technically it's discriminatory, I would say, and two, why would you not want more people coming to your site? So I know myself, like I was with the operation, that was a major thing, and that was exactly what we thought, because we had booked a site we hadn't been to, and then cancelled it because we had no idea what it was going to be like, and I was just about on my feet at the time. So that was why we ended up then in Ballyness, because we knew it would be relatively flat and easy to walk around. So it is a major thing, and I think hopefully doing this will help people with that, you know.
Stephen had another previous accident a couple of years ago that left you on crutches for a good...
Oh yes, I ended up with a trapped nerve in the back of my neck. But right on essentially the nerve at the base of the neck where it meets the muscles that go over your head. Well, my stutter essentially got 10 times worse. I couldn't walk in a straight line. I ended up with a walking stick to just be on my feet for a short period of time. Now, we weren't really travelling too much more than the odd holiday here and there, so it wasn't a factor then, but I couldn't imagine doing what we're doing with that. Like, you know, I probably wouldn't have had the confidence to even do it.
So what would you say a good budget was for a motorhome?
You can start at about 15,000 probably for a decent motorhome.
Yeah.
If you're torn between doing a van conversion yourself or getting a pre-made van, if you get an old motorhome, you're kind of like a happy medium, because there's a lot of systems that are already installed with the gas and the electrics and stuff, but you can completely remodel the furniture, and you can reupholster it, you can move the cupboards, you can do all that. After a certain age, any vehicle is going to need money putting into it. But,
you don't have to spend a lot to get into campervans or motorhomes.
Do you level a motorhome? If so, how?
We stayed on a lovely campsite called Hawthorne Cottages. In the Forest of Dean, and was a campervan next to us that had levelling blocks. I don't know if you've come across these. They look like cheese wedges, don't they?
Yeah.
Big plastic cheese wedges. There was somebody next to us, and bless them, they must have spent about 20 minutes
Yeah.
going up and down and up and down and moving around, and they just could not get anything level. We were like, we're not doing that. Let's invest in some legs. When we pull up on a pitch now, you pull up, leave the engine running, there's a little touch screen at the back of the van, and you press that, and it comes up with your options, and you just press level. It lowers the legs down, and like 90 seconds later, the van is up. We've seriously considered full-time van life because we rent our house and we can work remotely from wherever we are. We're doing our websites and stuff. There's enough room in here, and we're comfortable enough. We could be in here permanently.
Well, that'll be the interesting bit for us, is because in the caravan, but it's holiday mode.
Yeah.
Because we want to see about the because the dream is to explore the world, or at the very least try and stay somewhere that's warm most of the time, and it's probably a cheaper way of living really as well.
For me, it's kitchen space because I do the cooking. I don't like the corridor effect where you're sort of over a hot stove and then someone's squeezing past you to get me a seat. That's what I don't like, and that's where I will struggle personally. But I think we can work that out. I mean, we've navigated it okay in the caravan.
How do you find then the negotiating your ways around each other?
We have defined roles that we've decided on, don't we? Because I do the cooking and you do the washing up.
So in a car, when you're driving along, you'll have the engine that heats the car. Does that system sort of work as well with the motorhome, or have you got separate heating with the motorhome? How does that?
It's totally separate, yeah.
So yeah, we've got air conditioning and normal heating at the front of the van, which is just like in your car. But then we've got what they call a fire.
I suppose you could call it a gas fire because it can run on gas.
Yeah, again, it's the same as the boiler. It's mains hookup or gas. And we've got a funky system which blows air around the van as well. We've got double glazing. All the windows are double glazed in the habitation area.
Yeah, it's almost winterized, isn't it, the van?
Yeah.
The only thing that's not winterized is the water tanks are not insulated, I don't think.
No.
Here's a bit of a controversial one, maybe. This is completely off topic of the questions, but maybe good for the video, I don't know. I've heard of other van lifers where their Greywater is concerned that if they're at the side of the road and things like that they will let it drain even at the side of the road. What are your thoughts on that type of situation?
Totally wrong. Totally wrong. That gives van life such a bad reputation. Water that goes down the drains on the side of the road doesn't go to a water treatment works.
It's
goes
not clean. It's not clean at all, the grey. I mean, when you're washing up, there's bits of food and there's detergent.
Chemicals. And that gets washed into rivers and water courses. And you're putting stuff down there, even if you're the most ecologically friendly. We use all eco washing up liquid and we use green stuff in the toilet. You'd never dream of pouring washing up liquid down the drain. It's got to be disposed of properly. So
for the next question here, do you have the option of a constructed awning or a wide night?
Since we're on this topic, and obviously you are on a site at the moment at the event, we can see just behind you is actually through the window maybe an example of what you mean. So the motorhome, but not the yellow Mercedes, but the motorhome sort of behind, that would be classed as a sunshade, and then what have they done? Like put a windbreaker around it?
Yeah, and that's what we have. A sunshade just pulls out and you stick the legs down.
Yeah.
That's different to an awning.
And then the awning, you would say, as you were saying, then probably what you'd see more likely on the caravans at the caravan sites would be the horrendous job of putting poles together, or maybe the more modern job now of the inflation ones.
You can get a mosquito net that goes all the way around the sides and then just has a little zippy door. So I don't know if that would make us classed as having an awning because it has sides.
I'll argue that all day long with whoever wants to say that it's an awning.
It's just a mosquito
It's a
net.
mosquito net. We've seen one here on the show that somebody's
Yeah.
got, and yeah, you said it looked really good.
Moving on from that and talking about your actual motorhome itself, does your motorhome have a fully sized and fully equipped bathroom?
We're going back to that.
It does. We're lucky. There's so many different configurations. A lot of them have like a wet room where you can sort of hinge the whole toilet and sink into the wall, and then the space becomes a shower cubicle. We're lucky to have a separate shower cubicle so that our toilet doesn't get wet and stuff. So
It's got a bifolding door.
we looked for that configuration, didn't we? We wanted a separate shower cubicle.
Yeah. So some of them also have shower curtains, and when it's cold and the shower curtain touches you, it's like, oh, it's horrible.
So what would you say would be the biggest challenge of driving a motorhome?
Well, it's the width, yeah. I mean, it is wider than a camper van. The mirrors stick out a really long way because they have to look past the wide body of the habitation section. But when we first got Melv, they just had the black mirrors that they come with, and we kept getting hit all the time. You would clash with another van coming the other way. But then we got the mirror guards, and other brands are available. They just fit over the mirror, and it's made of crash helmet material, for a motorbike helmet. And so it protects them physically, but also they're white. They come in different colours, but we got white ones because they stand out. And then I put like these reflective stickers that they're black in the daylight, but they're reflective at night as well. And I put them like zebra stripes all across the mirrors, and now people just see them when they come in, and they just give you that bit of extra room.
Tell us about something that you couldn't travel without.
The aqua roll for filling up with water. You probably got one for your caravan. Loads of motorhome users use them, save you having to drive to the fill up point.
And then followed by that is the Wastemaster, which takes away your Greywater.
Yeah, and that's also caravan users probably use them a lot as well.
And I think third is a dog. I think the best accessory for a motorhome after that is a dog.
So if you were to change your motorhome, would you get a bigger one or do something else entirely?
Well, we saw that one at the Exeter show, that Benimar, that was smaller. It was only 5 metres, but it had a drop-down huge bed.
Had a good-sized washroom. The garage behind the washroom.
I can't imagine not having our motorhome now. We love it. We've made it our own.
Yeah. The only thing, we're going to change the bed because currently we've got a double overhead cab.
If you can do a van conversion, you can do those same things in a motorhome. You can change things around and build different structures in it. So
especially with the older ones where it's made of wood, because a lot of the newer ones are plastic.
Yeah.
And so that's quite restrictive. You can't really do much with those. Older vans, I think, really have a lot going for them. And if God forbid, something happened to Melv and we had to replace him, I wouldn't want a newer van, a newer model. I'd want something that is vintage.
Yeah, look for similar age.
Yeah. Melv's 2007. He's made of wood. Got good insulation. The walls are really thick on it. I wouldn't want a newer van, to be honest.
I think that brings us to our last question. So we've had a conversation in the past regarding age demographic playing a big part of what type of recreational vehicle suits which need. If a younger demographic was thinking about motorhoming, how would you sell it to them as the right choice?
Don't want to alienate anybody, but I think there is a big image thing of a camper van being cooler than a motorhome. But just if you can just ignore that, what the look of it is, and think about what do you actually want. Do you want more space, or do you want because if you're spending a long time in the van, it does make a difference how much space you have inside, especially if you're in a climate where you don't have sunshine all the time. You might be having to spend time in the van.
I think if you're in a smaller camper van, you'd struggle, because we've got a bench each here. The dog's got space. We can sit here with our laptops. We can flip the telly down if we want to, but we never watch the telly.
We've got zones, haven't we?
Yeah.
It feels like having lots of different rooms.
Yeah, you can spin the seats round at the front. Motorhoming has this image of being an older person's activity. Maybe that comes down to the fact that motorhomes do hold a value and they are expensive. We follow a lot of different channels on YouTube, from caravans through to yourselves, campervans, and stuff like that. There's one big channel we follow, and they've recently done a van conversion.
Bearing in mind that they're not inclined to DIY at all. Really, they were really not natural engineers, sort of thing. They struggled. When they were nearly finished the build, they said, "What would you do differently?" And she just said, "We'd have built a motorhome."
Yeah,
We just wouldn't have even tried to do the van conversion.
Yeah, but equally, campervans have their own appeal, don't they?
Yeah.
Campervan, I can see the appeal of it.
Don't close off your options. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, this may be very controversial, what I'm about to say, so hopefully it's not. But especially in the YouTube community, I would say a lot of, van conversion people, especially YouTubers, I find are maybe the more skinny fit able ones, and they're maybe making this sort of trend of doesn't have to necessarily be comfort orientated. So they're able to maybe rough it that wee bit more, which is why we sort of thought, well, we can't afford a motorhome, so we can't. That's just completely out of the budget because it's too expensive. Even the second-hand ones were just too expensive for us at the time. So we ended up with the Caravan, but then because we wanted a certain level of comfort, but again, because we didn't really see the comparisons very well, we realised that that's not really the thing for us, because it does limit you a bit. Think about the comfort element. Like, if you want to go and live in this, think about the environments that you're going to be in. So van conversion may be your only option. It may be because of finances and give you the ability to what you want to do. But think of that comfort element, because at the end of the day, you are living in it. You are needing to do the day-to-day basics.
I feel like we're in a sort of transitional age ourselves as well, being that we are plus size and we are in our 30s. So we've left a lot of the up and coming fan conversions, they're late 20s.
Yeah.
So we're sort of coming to it late as well, and coming to YouTube quite late compared to some of the other conversions that are out there.
A lot of the younger generation know this platform quite well. But as I suppose we're saying, yeah, they are young and fit people, and we're coming into it as not that well. I'd say we're still young, but we're not fit. So comfort is an element. But even if you are young and fit, comfort's still an element. You know, you're not going, like, if you go home to go and relax, what are you sitting on your big nice couch in front of your nice big TV? You can't put that in a van conversion. So you need to think, how can I still get the comfort element of it if I want to live and be happy in it.
Yeah, if it's a long-term thing, if it's for a weekend, go for it, because we would probably not put the level of comfort that we're trying to put into our conversion into something that we would only be using for a weekend.
The likes of our Caravan, for example, and this is just unique to our Caravan at the moment, I couldn't spend a week in it. Not in a million, no. By a couple of days would be me maxed, and it's because of the bed situation. In our previous video, you would have seen, especially with me with the surgery, you'd have seen Tony was pushed over to the side. And I had the full fold out bed, but underneath that I still had an extra couple of blankets and a mattress topper, and it still wasn't comfortable because you still have that dip in the cushions. You maybe have that as well whenever you fold out your cushions. No, you don't. No.
Oh, it's a brilliant system because it's gone like runners underneath, and so they pull together.
Yeah.
And so all the way across the van, it slides out and makes a total like wooden
bed base.
Bed base,
and the cushions, the sofa cushions are enormous, so there's not really much gaps. There's only 4 cushions, so we have 2 cushions each that our weight is on. So the gap is kind of not in any place where you notice it really.
Yeah. And then just put a mattress topper on it. It's just it's I think it's actually more comfortable than our bed at home.
It's firmer, it is. I think it is as well.
There's more room in it than at home.
We've probably just hit unlucky then, because our cushions wouldn't be the biggest. But again, our caravan's probably that wee bit narrower as well.
So I think that pretty much wraps up the questions that we have
Yeah,
here,
that's
guys.
that wraps up the questions we had for yourselves. Then, so thank you very much for answering
Thank you
those
so much.
questions. We really appreciate
Oh,
it.
thank you, guys.
We'd like to thank Bonjour Motorhome for this collaboration and coming up with the idea for this video. Remember, this is only one part of a two-part Q&A session, and if you'd like to see our half of the interview, head on over to Bonjour Motorhome for more. If you enjoyed this content, please consider checking out our other videos and hitting subscribe.